System initializing. Identifying subject. Subject identified. Prentice Moore. Male, 22 years old. Status, unsure about future. Identity discovery required. Analyzing medical records. Locator activated. Last known location. Subject on the move. Location identified.
I hope you guys are good. I hope you're excited. Tonight's going to be fun. Tonight's going to be different. Tonight you're going to learn something about yourself that most of you probably had no idea was inside of you. Is that exciting? Some of you are a little nervous. If it's your first time, don't worry. It's all good. Tonight we are continuing our series called Identification Discovery. Now, last week we talked about your identity in Christ. And what we realized is if you don't understand that your identity is a son or a daughter of God, if you don't understand that, then everything is out of whack. So you can't discover your purpose without coming to the conclusion that you were created to be a son or a daughter of God. So to extend that, I would say this. If you have not invited Jesus Christ in, and we're getting deep real quick. If you have not invited Jesus Christ into your life to become your Savior, your forgiver, if you have not taken that step, what I need to tell you tonight is that you can get close to your purpose, but it's going to be really difficult to fully discover it because your purpose is something that God created for you. It's very in-depth. It has much detail, and it is very unique compared to everyone else that sits around you. So first thing you have to understand is that your identity is in Christ. Now, why is that important? Well, there's a couple things. First, some of the things we said last week. If you don't know what God says about you, then you're going to begin to believe what the enemy says about you. And so all throughout our culture, we see that the enemy has been on a mission to try to what? To steal people's identity, to confuse people's identity, to make it so confusing you can't figure out who you are, or worse, to wrap your identity up in things that are going to let you down. Well, what does that mean? Well, your identity cannot be wrapped up in anything that can be lost or taken away. If it is, then eventually your identity is going to disappear and you are going to be left wondering what happened. This is why when we see pro athletes that then step away from the game, either by injury or by retirement, they begin to question who they are and what am I supposed to do, because their identity was wrapped up in something that was good for a season, but it wasn't going to last their whole life. This is why your career can't be your end-all identity. Your relationship, don't look now, can't be your identity. Even when you get married, your spouse is not your identity. Okay, your personality, all the things we're going to begin to talk about over the next few weeks, these are not your identity. Your identity is one thing. It is as a son or a daughter of God. So we had to get that right last week. So if you missed last week, maybe go back and check it out online so you can get caught up. Now tonight, we're going to begin to look at the detail or the intricate detail of your purpose. Now that I understand I am a son or daughter of God, that is my identity because I can't lose Christ. It is sealed in me. Now I get to discover what Christ created me to be. And so today we're going to embark on a journey. It's going to actually be a 2-week journey, and we're going to be looking at personality. We're going to be looking at personality. Now, how many of you knew that you have a personality? Trick question, right? Well, maybe not. I don't know. If you didn't know, that's okay. We'll have a prayer service afterwards, and we can figure all that out. No, I'm just kidding. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take a test. That's right, you're going to be quizzed. No, it's a quick test we're going to take together. And then when we're done with that test, we're going to begin to break down for you what we see. So underneath your chair, okay, there's a little sheet of paper. You can pull that out. Don't do anything with it yet. Just wait, okay? But I know you're going to start reaching for it as soon as I said test. So just put that on your lap, all right? Get it out, and then I want you to look back up here at me, all right, so we can rock and roll. Now, to do this tonight, I'm going to get some help. And so my help tonight comes from Michelle. Michelle's been a part of our ministry for, yeah, you can cheer, it's okay, go ahead. Yeah, woo. All right, so So Michelle's been a part of our ministry for a long time. Michelle is 25, right? About to be 20, no, I'm just kidding. She's 25, all right? She's a teacher for Katy ISD. She teaches AP and GT. I don't even know what that means, but it's high-level stuff. So she teaches all these things. She also graduated from Pennsylvania from, are you ready? Are you ready? It's so big, I had to look down on my notes and make sure I didn't forget. We're at Grove City College. Give it up for Grove City. How many of you went to college there? It's in Pennsylvania, so that's great. You might be a little lost. No, I'm just kidding. Well, we're glad to have her. So she's a teacher at Katy ISD, but most importantly, it's not her identity, but it's part of who she is. She is engaged to Zach Dudley, who many of you guys know. Zach works part of our ministry. He's been here for so long. We call him the one of two Swiss Army knives that we have. That means that he can do anything. Like whatever you need him to do, that's what he does. So we call him the Swiss Army knife. I don't know if he likes it. I've never asked him, but it's okay. He's not here to defend himself. But anyway, so I'm really excited to do this. Now, the reason we've invited Michelle is because a couple years ago, we took our ministry on a cruise. Any of you guys were on the cruise? How many of you guys? Just a couple. Yeah, that's how much turnover we have here. That's exciting. Well, real powerful. I'm just kidding. It was a long time ago. But we went on a cruise. And on this cruise, we brought in a guest speaker, and he began to go over some of the things we're going to talk about throughout this series. And one of the things he dealt with was this element of personality. And while he was presenting, and as Michelle was listening, she was really motivated to take what she'd heard to another level. And so what she did was, I don't know, was it a year and a half, 6, something like that? About a year. She spent about a year just in her free time, in her side time, putting together a deeper look at personality, connecting it to Bible characters, connecting it to how it works in the church, and all these extra things. And so what we're going to see tonight is really a culmination of a lot of the research that she did for us. And so what I've done is her and I are going to kind of go back and forth tonight as we work through this element. And we're going to start by bringing her up here because she's a teacher. And so she's going to administer the test because I don't want to do that, all right? So I'm a test taker, not a test giver. So would you guys please welcome Michelle as she comes to take this next portion for us. You got it?
All right, so to give you an understanding of like why I like personality, I teach middle school. They're the most confused people about who they are and what they do with their lives. And so because I have such a passion for that is the reason why I have really dug into this subject. So first thing I want you to do is at the top, if you forget my directions, I did put it at the top because that's the teacher inside of me that did that, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through each question together. Now, there's a couple of rules about this. Some of you are gonna look at some of these characteristics and you're gonna be like, I'm like 4 of those, I'm all of those. But you have to choose one. You cannot choose 2, you have to choose one that is best like you, okay? So the first question, well, before I begin with the questions, where did I get this test? Okay, there's a guy named Sandy Culkin who is actually near Newcastle, Pennsylvania, where I live, and he wrote this book on disc profile, okay? And if you want to look at this later, that is totally okay with me. It actually goes deeper in understanding who you are. We're just going to scratch the surface today, okay? This has actually saved my life, especially with my mom. My mom and I have extremely different personalities, and what happens is because I understand who she is and who I am, we get along. But if I didn't understand that, we'd be fighting all the time. So, the first question that we have, question number 1 says, now, the other thing I forgot to say, I'm sorry. We can be different personalities in different circumstances. I am different the way I am at work than I am the way with my friends. So everyone together is going to be in the circumstance of only with your friends, because I know that you can show different characteristics other than that. As you are counting up, there's a couple important things I really need you to understand. So I really need you guys to focus for a second, okay? Now, this part is the disclaimer, okay? Couple things I need you to understand, okay? The first thing is in this book, there are 32 personalities. 32, which means some people can be really lion and a little bit of otter. Some people can be all lion. Okay, there's so many different personalities. It's okay to be a mix. Most people are a mix. Nobody's usually a pure one or the other. Now, let's say you accidentally didn't get a chance to grade one of them and it's really upsetting you, because some of you will really upset yourselves if you're missing one. It's okay, there's 24 questions. It's not going to make that big of a difference. Okay? The last thing that I really want to point out. Now, this is, for some personalities, this is going to be harder than others. When we go over the strengths and the weaknesses, just because you may say, oh, I'm a lion because of this, so everyone else has to deal with it. That's, like, I've heard people say this multiple times. I'm a worrier, so that's just who I am. No, that's something you have to work on. So understanding this when we go over weaknesses is not because of, it's not an excuse. This is not an excuse of who you are. This is understanding who you are and where God's trying to push you. Okay? So when you go through this and we talk today, when you're looking at your strengths and weaknesses and understanding yourself, these are some things to keep in mind.
Got it? All right, good stuff. Y'all, how many of you hate test taking? Just be honest. I know, that was me too. But I did it, even though I already knew my answer. Okay, let's talk about a couple things now. Now you have this animal profile in front of you. Woohoo! It's exciting, right? Now you may be wondering, why animals? Well, there's a couple reasons. One, they're easy to remember, right? The lions are never going to forget their lion. The otters will never. They may wonder why they picked otter, but they'll never forget they're an otter. But the second thing is you can see these personalities kind of carry out into these animals. So for instance, when you see a lion, you know that it's in charge and you can always hear its roar. Lions are loud, right? Wonder what I am. I'm a golden retriever. All right, otters. Otters are playful. They're social. When you go to the zoo, a lot of people like to watch the otters because they're kind of cute. They're kind of funny. Everybody wants to be entertained. But beavers, what do they build? You all got to say that in church. You're welcome. Beavers build dams, and they do it with precision detail, right? Every stick has to be exactly where it has to be so that that water will stop. Okay, so this is very important. We also see with the golden retrievers, what do you think about golden retrievers? They're wagging their tail, right? They're always loving on people. They're people pleasers, right? They always want to cuddle next to you. That doesn't mean you have to cuddle, by the way. But they're very soft. In fact, that's why you were last just in this list as I was going through it, because you're the most patient. Like, it doesn't bother. The lions need to know right now what's happening, or they're checking out. And so it's in order based on that. Okay, so there's why we use the animals and what that looks like. Now, let's talk about the lions. If you were a lion, if lion was the highest rating on your paper, stand up really quick. Okay, these are the lions in the room. Holla at me. Let's go. That's right. I'm still standing because I'm a lion. Okay, y'all can sit down. Now, I was told I can't be biased, so I do not think the lions are the best. Why are you laughing? Oh, because I'm a lion. All right, let's look at the lions for a minute. Okay, let's look at the strengths of the lion. I'm not going to read all these to you because they're up on the screen. Critical thinkers, productive, they're strong-willed, they're independent, they're decisive, they are leaders. Lions tend to be the leaders. They tend to take charge of the different scenarios as they are unfolding. By the way, we're going to post these slides up later, so if you're like freaking out trying to take notes, don't stress out about it, but if you want to, that's fine, okay? So these are the strengths: critical thinkers, productive, strong-willed, independent, decisive. They tend to be the leaders. But here's the weaknesses, lion. Here's what you got to be careful of. Here's what I have to be careful of. We're opinionated. We can be arrogant. Why y'all laughing and looking at me? Crazy. Here's a big one. We can be unsympathetic. Can I be really honest? That's my struggle. I tend to be unsympathetic. I struggle with that. I have to put emotion back into it because I just want to get the job done. We also can be a little bossy. That doesn't happen for me. We can be sarcastic, and we can struggle with the idea of unforgiveness, of unforgiving. We can struggle to forgive people. So there are some strengths and some weaknesses for the lion. Now, there's a struggle that the lions are going to tend to have. Okay? Let me read this verse to you. It's up on the screen. Proverbs 15:1. A soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. And the lions tend to use harsh words without thinking. They just say it. And so that's going to be our struggle, lions. We got to be real careful here. But here's what the Lord would say to us. It comes from Hebrews 4:16. Let us then with confidence draw, and the translation may be different up there, but the same verse. Let us with confidence draw near to the throne of grace that we may receive mercy and find grace to help in a time of need. God's calling you and I as lions, for the lion people, to step in to this. Now, where are my otters? Stand up. Otters, stand up. Guess what you are? You are the life of the party. Yeah. You didn't even have to say it. You just look around and you know. Okay, y'all can be seated. All right. Now, otters, let's go through some strengths first. Let's look at the good stuff. You're talkative. That's only good to you, but that's okay. That's a strength. You're outgoing. You're responsive. You're warm. You're friendly. You're enthusiastic. Listen, the otters really do bring life to the party. They also are going to make you feel well. I mean, the otters, you guys are you're a special breed. We don't have parties without you. In fact, I don't think parties would exist without you, okay? And so otters are a great thing. You got some great strengths, but you've got some weaknesses. All right, listen up. You're disorganized. You can be undisciplined. You can be unproductive. And you can exaggerate just a little bit, all right? Now listen carefully. I don't want you to look at your friend or your boyfriend, especially your boyfriend or girlfriend, and say, it makes sense now. This is your problem. I've been telling you since day one, I need you to get it together. Now listen, these strengths, they may not all come out of these personalities, and maybe only some of them, but also the weaknesses. But the ones that do come up, listen, when I say undisciplined, don't take that as we are just beating you down, but rather we're saying, look, these are the things you're going to have to really look out for. These are the tendencies of this personality. When you and I are aware of that, we can be better at compensating for these things. So that's what this is all about, okay? Now let's look at this. Here's the struggle, okay? It's rejection. Rejection is going to be the otter's struggle. When you feel rejected, you're going to have trouble. Here's what Luke 6:22 says this. Blessed are you when people hate you and when they exclude you and revile you and spurn your name as evil on account of the Son of Man. This is going to bother you, but look what God says. Rejoice in that day and leap for joy, for behold, your reward is great in heaven. Listen, otters, you have a special place. A special place. But you're going to have some weaknesses that you got to be careful of, that you got to make a note of, that you're going to have to look out for, and that's what they are. Okay, now Michelle's going to come up and give us the other two. Go.
Okay, so Chad shared with you the more active personalities. I'm going to share the more passive personalities, and we're going to start with the beaver. Now, beavers, can you stand up? Because you and I, okay, we are a small percentage of the population, actually. You may go ahead and sit down. Okay, beavers. All right, beavers are they're more perfectionistic, they're logical, self-disciplined, they're productive, they're very organized. These are the type of people that they like to normally do budgets. They're very good with their money, okay? You otters are not that way. So, I'm sorry, otters. I was throwing a little punch at you. Okay, so beavers, I need you to pay attention, beavers, like really close. Because here's the thing. Beavers are so perfectionistic and critical of themselves. When I put the weaknesses up there, you're going to get really mad at me. I'm not kidding either. Okay? Now, beavers Beavers can be moody. All right? They can be unsociable, touchy, critical, negative, and revengeful. They can hold a grudge. And some of you beavers are like, oh, am I really like that? And you're going to turn to the person next to you and ask. And because otters don't like rejection, they're not going to tell you the truth. Okay? The lions will tell you the truth. Okay? So it just depends on who you ask. And here's the thing about being critical. Beavers, it's not being critical of others, it's being critical of yourself. So you tend to be very hard on yourself. So when we're looking at the scriptures, okay, this is one that actually speaks to me hardcore. So the struggle with beavers is that we tend to like to know the plan. We like to know what's ahead of the schedule. We want to know what's going to happen. And so in the scripture in Proverbs 16:9, part A, it says, the mind of the man plans his ways. So we beavers like to plan our own way. But then God says, but the Lord directs his steps. This to me was probably one of the hardest struggles that I went through. I'm originally from Pennsylvania, and God called me to Texas. I have no friends here. I have no family here. And he said, go. And I'm sitting there going, okay, God, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? And I wanted to know every single detail. But God's like, no, I have it. You have to trust in me. And that is the hardest thing that I personally struggle with, and that's what beavers struggle with. So then we have our golden retrievers. I love my golden retrievers. Zach is a golden retriever. So here we go, golden retrievers. These stand up. Yeah, okay. You can go ahead and sit down. I will tell you that the golden retrievers are most of the population. Okay? Now, golden retrievers are probably the most loyal friend that you will have. Okay, they will be by your side no matter what. They are the type of people who are calm. They're easygoing. They go with the flow. They're diplomatic. They can be humorous. They can throw a joke here and there. Okay, they're very diplomatic. They want to make sure that you feel. The thing about golden retrievers is they have a lot of feelings. Okay, so they want to feel that you have a friend. These are the type of golden retrievers. Strengths. Now, golden retriever weaknesses. They can be selfish. They can be a procrastinator. That's a big one, okay? They tend to worry a lot. They're people pleasers. So if you say, golden retriever, I don't like that you did this, they're going to be like, oh, I'm so sorry. Let me change this. I want to please you. And that sometimes is an issue because a lot of times golden retrievers do not know when to say the word no. So what happens is you go to a golden retriever and you can ask them and they'll always say yes. They always want to be there for you, but sometimes we as lions, we as otters and beavers take advantage of that, and we have to be careful because they want to help you so much that they're going to do it, but you can overwork them and they're not going to like it. So you have to be careful. So golden retrievers. When we're talking about being people pleasers, what God says, so it says the struggles of the flesh, and this is in Galatians 1:10. For I am seeking the approval of man or of God. So what am I seeking? Am I seeking and seeing, do I care what my friends think or do I care what God thinks? Or am I trying to please man? If I were still trying to please man, I would not be a servant of Christ. So golden retrievers, we have to make sure that you are not trying to please your friends, that you are pleasing to God. It's not what your friends think. So especially when God says go, this is a hard thing because you golden retrievers are going to be like, what do you think? Should I go? I think God's telling me to go. What do you think? And you're going to go to your friends, and the last person you're going to ask is God. So what God's command says in Colossians 3:23, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord and not human masters. Since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. It is the Lord Christ you are serving. It is not the opinions of your friends. Okay? Now, so Chad touched on this a little bit, and I want to go over the fears because understanding yourself really understands what you fear. So for example, my lions, now you're going to be like, I don't know about this. Take advantage of. My mom is an absolute lion, and she hates being taken advantage of. This is an example. She gives someone money because they needed it, and she loves to give. But then they go take that money and blow it. And they come back and ask for more. My mom will tell you straight to your face and say, no, you took advantage of my kindness. You didn't do what you were supposed to do, so no, I'm not going to do it. They don't like when you take advantage of their time, their money, and their kindness. Okay, otters. It's really hard for you to be rejected. Rejection comes from, let's say, someone doesn't like you because you want to go share the gospel with someone. And you don't want them to think that you're not going to be their friend anymore because you said something they didn't like, and so they're going to reject you. That's something that you probably fear and have issues with. Criticism, beavers. I struggle with this. When my boss comes up to me and says, I need to talk to you, those words are like awful. Because I'm just like, what did I do wrong? I'm so sorry, what did I do? That's your beaver. Your golden retriever, they don't like change. So for example, my Zachary Dudley, when he moved to Michigan to Texas, there was a big change that happened. And that was probably very difficult for him because he doesn't like change. He doesn't like to lose his friends. So let's put this kind of all together to make this make sense. So let's pretend we wanted to have a party. So you can go to the next slide. So how does each personality work? Each personality is needed. So for example, you have your otter. The otters are the person that's like, let's have a party. And they get so excited and they're just like, you come to the party, you come to the party, you come to the party. And they get all the friends together and so pumped up for this party. Then you have your lions. Now the otters get everyone excited about it, but the lions actually start making things happen. All right, we're gonna have a party. You're gonna do this, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do this. It's gonna be awesome. We're gonna make this happen. Do I sound like Chad? All right, then we have our beavers. If it wasn't for the beavers, there would be no food at the party. Okay, you would have your time, your date, your place, everything that is needed for that party to be a good quality party. Beavers are good at putting quality into a party. And then your golden retrievers. I love my golden retrievers. My golden retrievers, they come and they're like, can I help you? What can I help you with? I really want to help you with this party. What can I do for you? And they also are there to make sure everyone's getting along at the party, that there's no tension, that everyone's just having a good time. And that, you know what, if there's someone in the corner that doesn't have a friend, they're the ones that kind of go over and say, hey, talk to me. I want to be your friend. So, I think that's what I have, yeah?
All right. Learning about yourself, huh? How many of you are kind of surprised? Learned something, maybe connected dots. Maybe that's why, like all of a sudden you're going, things are making sense now. All right, people you know, it makes sense now. When we say the otter, I think of Michael Tadlock, like he is a spitting image of an otter. His wife Amanda is a beaver, right? It's really cool to see. You begin to put names with these personalities, and you go, oh my goodness, that makes so much sense. And that's the point. And here's what we want you to hear, and here's how we're going to close tonight. We want you to understand that every one of these personalities, as you just saw in the example of the party, they are all vitally important. They're vitally important in life, they're vitally important in ministry, and they're vitally important for the work of the kingdom. And so our hope tonight is that you would just get a taste of something about yourself. Some of you knew this, some of you have done this before, and this was just a great reminder to kind of settle in to who you are and to bring those weaknesses up, to remind yourself of the things you need to be careful of. But what we want you to hear, and what is vitally important, is that this is something that God has wired in you. So don't fight it. There's some people that don't like the idea of being maybe a beaver. I really want to be a lion, but I'm a beaver, and I'm not sure. Maybe the test was wrong. What I want to say to you is God has wired you this way for a specific reason. It's going to all connect with all of the things we're working on each week as we begin to discover who we are and how God has wired us. The intricate detail of your purpose, that is what is unfolding as we speak, and it is all God ordained. So we want you to relax. We want you to embrace this. We want you to prayerfully think about this over the next week, kind of what this means for you, things that you could be on the lookout for, things that you can do better at because of what you've discovered tonight. And then next week, what we're going to look at is a couple things. We're going to look at some biblical characters that connect with each one of these personalities. We'll look at a male and a female for each one. We're going to look at how these work together within the body of Christ. It's going to be really helpful. We're going to look at who gets along, which personalities really get along, and which ones irritate the fire out of each other. We're going to look at that, understand all of that. And then maybe the thing you might be most excited about, we are going to tell you which one is going to be best for you to pursue as a spouse. Which one is the best option for you to marry? That's what you're going to find out next week.